What's up, YouTube? This is going to be a guide on how to use Decidueye in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing some competitive movesets and some fun and meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to support the series, make sure you hit that like button. Let's have a look at it. So Decidueye just recently came out in the 7-star raid, and I thought I'd do an updated sort of moveset on it. So first thing I'm going to look at here as it being a physical attacker. So looking at its stats here, it's got a its highest actually is an attack, and we've got its special attack just a little bit low there. So it's not bad offensive stats, and with its speed, it's nothing really special in speed there, and overall reasonable bulk. We've got the grass and ghost typing, and we've got the abilities long reach and overgrow. Long reach is it's not a bad ability, nothing like super overpowered, but it can be handy in the right situation, especially for a physical attacker. Now the first set I'm going to be looking at here is going to be a choice band set, and that one is follows, right? So we've got Leaf Blade, obviously, as it's powerful grass stab there. We've got high critical hit ratio, 90 base power, so it's pretty nice. We've got Spirit Shackle, which is 80 base power. None of these are really like super duper powerful. They can, the nice sort of base power, but nothing like astronomical, nothing over 100. So there its main stabs there. Now we've also got Shadow Sneak too, which is nice to have a priority move there that you can use to try and maybe just finish a Pokemon off on a lower amount of health. And also it is stab too, so it's going to be doing quite a bit of damage there. Now I've also given this Terra Blast too. In the back before this generation, it sort of struggled a little bit there for other like types of move, but I really feel you can run a nice Terra Blast Water on this. Mainly because, say, this does attract, let's say it attracts Fire-type Pokemon for sure. You got Bug-type Pokemon, you got Steel-type Pokemon, you got lots of different, like Ghost-type Pokemon coming in there too. So, you can turn yourself into a Water-type there and still do some good damage back there. But mainly sort of like for Fire-type Pokemon, then, that is kind of nice there. But, there could be a couple of different Terries you might be able to give this to. With its item choice band, you could go choice Scar, but I feel like it just isn't powerful enough, so you're really doing that choice band for it to do some forms of damage there, right? Now, I've got other physical sets that I've got that aren't choice band, and I will be getting to them in a sec too. But yeah, some other Terra options I'm just trying to think you could go for here. You could, if you really wanted to try and trick the opponent, you could go for Terra Normal, but obviously you wouldn't go for Terra Blast, and you probably, let's say we'd mix that up with another move there. But you've got like other moves like Knockoff, and you've got Brave Bird too. I don't feel like Brave Bird gives it too much outside of hitting like other grass Pokemon or fighting types. I feel like that's a big expenditure of health there, and a move that you may not really want to lock yourself into. So I feel like something like Knockoff isn't bad. That's a nice move to run. We also got Low Kick too. It's a little bit situational there, but okay for Steel type Pokemon. And we've got some other moves here. We've got like Shadow Claw. That's kind of outclassed by Spirit Shackle. And another good one here it's got is Sucker Punch, which is a nice priority move. Now, for argument's sake, you could have two priority moves here, Spirit Shackle and Leaf Blade. Like, this would allow you to outspeed some faster Pokemon, because, let's be real, with 70 base power, it really isn't outspeeding too many things. It's kind of slow, So, yeah, that's what I'd probably recommend for, like, a choice banded set. Unfortunately, you can actually, this is another one you can run, is U-Turn on the two. Choice items, moves like U-Turn. They're very, very handy. So that's another move I'd probably suggest on the choice banded one. And for the EVs, yeah, you'd have to give it max attack and max speed. Look, if you want to give it adamant, you could, but it's really, really slow. Like, I almost say it's no point running in speed EVs on it once you give it adamant. You might even be better off just giving it nothing and hell. I don't know. Like, I feel like this is a really, really odd sort of speed stat there. It doesn't really outspeed too many things, and it kind of forces you to run Jolly Nature, which then dumps your attack a lot. So yeah, it's in a little bit of a predicament there for being a physical attacker as a choice item, but still it is viable in the right situation. Next set I've got here is going to be a Sword Dance set. So this Pokemon is actually kind of unique because it gets multiple ways to boost its attack and also special attack, which I'll get to, of course, in a sec. Now, we're going to keep the long reach ability on this one. I mean, you could go Overgrow, but I feel like long reach is going to be your best bet here, especially on physical sets, because all those contact moves, right? Now, we've got Sword Dance, which is a great way to boost your attack by 2 stages. Excellent. And, you know, it's got a reasonable amount of bulk there, too. You know, 100 base special defense is nice. You know, 78 health is, you know, reasonable. Defense, it's okay as well. So, it generally typically can take, you know, 1 neutral hit, you know. I mean, it's got reasonable sort of, it's got reasonable bulk about it. It's going to change it up there. So, yeah, I'm going to be running max attack, and we got Jolly Nature here. Now, once again, it's a jolly and animate sort of thing you want to go for here. So, I've given it Spell Tag. Now, Spell Tag isn't all that bad. You know, you might think it's a little bit memey, but you can run Life Orb in there too. The reason I got Spell Tag on this set is because I'm doubling up on Ghost-type moves here. And, you know, we've got Shadow Stick and Spirit Shackle. So, you know, a 1.2 boost is kind of nice. Plus, it's an item, say if it does get tricked onto another opponent, they're probably not going to be able to benefit from it very much, unless, you know, of course, you know, they've got a Ghost-type move as well. And, you know, if you are versing another Ghost-type Pokemon, you're going to get that, you know, that boost on those Ghost-type moves there. But, you know, there's quite a few items that you could run on a physical attacker, like, let's say, we got heavy duty boots is always like an excellent item to run there for sure. You've got like Lumber is another very good one there. You'd probably only be worrying about Will-O-Wisp. You don't have to worry about any, like, you know, Spore or anything and stuff like that. So those kind of items are good. As I mentioned, you know, you've got Life Orb. You could even run Expert Belt there. Think about Expert Belt is you've got 2 Ghost moves already. So I was like, I'm just going to put Spell Tag on there. So you go, that's sort of up to you what you run, what you're running on there, right? But anyway, we've got our Sword Dance Shadow Stick, which is really good. You know, you've got a nice priority. I've given it Terra Ghost too, so that's going to even, you know, be more powerful. So, you know, all this is sort of like, you know, supporting and stacking on each other there. So that's why I sort of went with this, you know, more of a gimmicky item. And I have run this set before. It does work very, very well. We've got Leaf Blade, of course, in there too. And, you know, that's going to be hitting very, very hard. But obviously, it still does have its counters, like, you know, very specific sort of counter, like off the top of my head, say a Sawsbuck, you'd be absolutely like, you can't do anything to it. So you need to have sort of, if you're going to put this on your team, you need to have other things to get, you know, rid of those certain Pokemon. Now, if you want to run, you could actually run Adamant here for even more damage on Shadow Sneak, which is going to be hitting very, very hard. You could go Terra Ghost, Shadow Sneak after a Sword Dance. Sure, that'll be good. That'll be like a nice, you know, you can hit other Ghost-type Pokemon, you know, Psychic-type Pokemon, you know, powerful priority there to finish off any, like, more frail sweepers you're having trouble with. So that is good, but I don't mind Jolly either, because sometimes, sometimes you got to use Leaf Blade, right? And if you get outsped, well, yeah, that's bad, right? Any Fire-type Pokemon, more like weaker, sort of not as like Glass Cannon sort of Fire-type Pokemon, that's going to do, you know, nicely against that too. So yeah, that's probably how I'd go for a Sword Dance set. Now, I've got another variant of this as well, so there's lots of little variants you can run. Let's say, for example, that you didn't want to run Shadow Stick on there. You think, well, you know, it's kind of weak. I've got Spirit Shackle already. But if you're going to do that, 100% you have to go Jolly. If not, you can get away with Adamant a little bit because you do have a priority move. Let's say for example, we were going with Adamant, right? Let's get rid of Spirit Shackle. I mean, it's the best physical move. But let's say for a second, look, I don't want to double up on Ghost-type moves. I want to try something else out. Sure, let's have a look. So we've got Knockoff, which is nice there. We don't really have anything to hit, like, Fire types are super effective at all. It's not like we got any Ground-type moves to work with there. So that's why I sort of suggested on this first one, for example, I suggested, like, Water. That's not a bad one, and you can get some decent damage there. So whether you want to go Ghost or you want to go a different Terra, you can do that at the same time. You could put Terra Blast on there, you know, like I mentioned on this first one. You can go Terra Blast Water for any Fire-type Pokemon. That's good, you know, like that gives you an extra sort of move there. But once again, it's all up to sort of what you're going to slot in your team. So anyway, that's the long reach Decidueye with the Spell Tag or Life Orb, Expert Belt, whatever you like to run in the physical set. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a very, very versatile Pokemon. It can run Nasty Plot too, so it's got a good special set. So let's explore the special set. So this one I've run Heavy Duty Boots. We're mixing it up with Overgrow here because there's no real benefit to running Long Reach unless you've got like a contacting move. Like, I don't know, like Not even sure if it gets anything like that. On the special side, there's only a few of them anyway, but I don't believe it does. So we've got Nasty Plot Energy Ball. Once again, we have to run timid on this because you really need that extra bit of speed there. We don't have any priority. So I've got Energy Ball and Shadow Ball. That's probably the best two moves you're going to be using like most of the time. Opening up here to Hurricane isn't all that bad either. But once again, it's sort of like, it was kind of like on the Sword Dance one, how I was talking about Brave Bird, how it doesn't really give you too many options here. But then again, when you, let's say we want to explore something different, it's a little bit limited there. You know, it's kind of limited. What you can actually use here. So you probably have to go for Hurricane on that, or you go for a Terra Blast. You know, you could mix it up and go for the Terra Blast, and I've given this one normal just as a troll for like ghost types coming in. You could go for the normal, or you could go, I'm just trying to think of another one. Like Water was a good one. I just like Water because Water or normal are good on that for sure. I'm trying to think of just they'd probably be the two best ones I can think of. You've got Dark type Pokemon that can get around you too. Like you might be able to go to something like fighting, but then we're sort of getting into like super, like way too many like, I don't know, like specific counters there. So I'd probably keep normal. Like normal or Water isn't all that bad. If you've got any other suggestions, like let me know about it. I mean, obviously you can run, just Terra normal Ghost and Grass. I'm well aware of that. You can do that too. I just feel like Grass isn't the greatest type to run unless you're really balling that like really powerful Leaf Blade or stuff like that. But in my opinion, it doesn't really have the speed for that, right? So you want to try and be smart about it. You want to use like Shadow Sneak, Terra Normal, so you can be going first, doing lots of damage, or Terra Water on the incoming fire type, things like that. But yeah, this is the special set here. I've given this one Timid Nature, Max Speed, Max Special Attack. And yeah, that's pretty standard sort of EVs, and you can put the last little bit wherever you need that. Doesn't really matter too much. Now, like the physical one, we can run the specs one too. This one is I'm doubling up on the grass type moves here, just due to the nature of it being quite limited on its move pool. So most of the time with Decidueye, I'm going to say this, you're going to see it as a physical user because simply it's got more options to run on the physical side there. Special is very, very limited too, and its ability, kind of helps out more in the physical set. Overgrow, well, you may not even be able to get the most out of Overgrow, those types of things. So Shadow Ball, Leaf Storm, Choice Specs hits very, very hard. This is like bait for like Steel type Pokemon though. That's the only thing. So a lot of the time you're going to be using Shadow Ball against a Steel type, swapping in those kind of things there. So yep, I've gone Terra type Grass on this purely because that Leaf Storm, Overgrow, Choice Specs, that's got to be hitting monstrously hard there on any neutral hits, and super effective. Well, they're done basically. So that's why I've done that. Pretty standard, straightforward sort of set there. 252 in attack, special attack and speed, modest nature. Pretty straightforward there. Next one we got here is a little bit more of a support set. So it's a little bit more of a gimmick here. So we've got Giga Drain and Spirit Shackle. I know it's mixed, but with Giga Drain, that gives it a little bit of sustain. We've got Spirit Shackle to just do some reasonable damage to, and we've got Roost and Tailwind. So virtually we're just setting Tailwind up and supporting the rest of the team. With Grass type Pokemon, in my opinion, they make very, very good defensive walls there. And it hasn't got a bad defensive stat there. Unfortunately, it lacks something like Leech Seed. I wish it got like Leech Seed. That'd be kind of nice, but it doesn't. I've just given this leftovers, Giga Drain, and we're setting up that Tailwind, and we're roosting off any damage there. So there you go. It'd be nice. A nice partner for this would be like it'd be like a normal type or a fire type Pokemon. Even a Flash Fire Pokemon would do pretty nicely, I believe, against this. So any of the many Pokemon for that would be great. Next one here, this is a set that I come up with loaded dice, since I was actually going to do a sweep on this one. I'm not sure at the time of recording if I've already done it or not, but yeah. So we got loaded dice here, and this loaded dice is going to be nice on Bullet Seed, because this actually allows it to be more or as equally powerful as Leaf Blade. It's a bit more gimmicky though, so you got like the loaded dice, that's going to give it 4 hits at 25 base power, so there's 100 base power right there. If you get the 5th one, that's 125 base power. So that's a lot of damage there for sure. And I've given it low kick for Steel type Pokemon. That's really its only way outside of Terra to do anything to Steel type Pokemon. And I've given it Spirit Shackle, obviously, there too. And Sword Dance. So this is the Sword Dance set. I've got Jolly and Max Attack there. And we've got Long Reach. And I've given it Terra Normal. That's for just purely surprise, Any ghost type comes in, boom, you know. Any fire type Pokemon, like, I can still go for Spirit Shackle, right? It's going to do a lot. So that's probably the set that I'd run as well. I consider that more of a competitive sort of set too. With these choice banded, like these ones here, probably, you know, we got more competitive ones. These ones are, you're sort of going into a little bit more memes here. Not saying that it's not good, but it's easily dealt with there. Now let's have a think of some partners for it. Any Pokemon that can resist, like, well, I mean, Dondozo is like a really great Pokemon, you know. You could partner up with Dondozo. I'm trying to think of like the like whatever rules that you're playing. Let's have a look at Flash Fire Pokemon here, or even any Fire type Pokemon would be, you know, pretty nice there too. I always found it strange how Decidueye was not the flying either. It was Grass and Ghost, so yeah. We'll bring up Fire in general. We won't go super specific with Flash Fire. So we've got this being obviously weak to fire. I was going to say Skeleton, but they're both weak to ghost there. So that's probably not the... that's not a bad one here. So we got, depending on your moveset, of course, and what rule set you're playing, Chi-Yu isn't bad for typing and stuff like that because it is dark and fire. We've also got... Talonflame's not all that bad either. We've got Arcanine. I mean, Arcanine's pretty solid. Like... This is quite a solid swapping because, like, especially if it's a physical type, you can go in and, you know, Intimidate, or you can have Flash Fire. So I recommend Arcanine. That's not a bad partner at all. But there's, you know, bulky water type Pokemon. Like there's many sort of you know, teammates for this Pokemon. You know, as you can see, there's like a absolutely huge amount of Pokemon you could run with. But yeah, as for partners, you know, fire, water type Pokemon, those type of counters there. As for being able to defeat this Pokemon, really, I'd say one of the key things about it is its speed, and you know, its speed really does let it down. Now, if it's fast, this is why I say they're running like, oh, well, they're running Choice Scarf, right? Okay, well, it's reasonably fast, but it's not going to be hitting like super duper hard. You know, as you can see, you really have to load everything into speed there for it to be quite a speedy Pokemon and stuff like that. Also, if it's not running any like scarfs or anything, it does rely heavily on, you know, like Shadow Sneak and weaker priority moves, Sucker Punch, things like that. So as long as you don't let this thing set up like a lot of Sword Dancers and stuff like that, I mean, any unaware Pokemon, like Steel types is another thing too, like Steel Pokemon for sure. Let me bring a couple up there. I mean, it is, let's be real, it's not the hardest Pokemon really to counter. Well, we got Goldengo, Corviknight. Oof, yeah. So Corviknight is a very, very good counter for that. You know, extremely good. We've got. Let's look at some other ones here. We've got Forretress too. There's heaps. There's so many counters there on. Like that's just the Steel like Pokemon there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the counters. Some sort of last minute stuff here. We'll have a look at. I like to go over everything for a Pokemon here. So look at its physical moves. We'll go down the list here. So it does get like, you know, as I said, we mentioned Brave Bird and stuff already. I don't really run Brave Bird on it too often. It's not a move. And the same with Acrobatics. Like you might be able to do some, you know, meme sets with it, like I don't know, Sash or Weakness Policy, stuff like that. But outside of that, it's not doing too much. You could go and try a critting set with, I guess, with Shadow Claw if you really wanted to, like a Scope Lensy sort of set. But most of the time, you know, Spirit Shackle is going to be what you choose. More often. Now, there is Trailblaze. Now, that's a new move. I actually wouldn't mind mentioning that, because that's a good thing to mention. So, Trailblaze might be able to fix Decidueye's, like, speed problem. The thing is, you got to give up a move. You got to give up, are you going to give up Leaf Storm for it? Are you going to give up Sword Dance? Like, what move are you going to give up to put Trailblaze on there to make this Decidueye fast, you know? So, that's the thing to think about. I went over Bullet Seed. You could run, that's, you know, one of the few moves you can run with the loaded dice on there. We got Phantom Force too. Like I have seen sets like this. This is something you could try too. Power Herb. All right, we'll go like Terra. What did Terra Flying, like the raid one? So yeah, we'll do that. Boom, we got to run Jolly on this. So we got Phantom Force there. So Phantom Force, you know, Stab Ghost is going to be doing lots of damage there. Power Herb activates, so it activates for 1 turn. Acrobatics, now that we don't have an item, it's going to be double base power. And we've got Terra type Flying. So, you know, on paper that sounds nice, but it's not going to be unbeatable, right? So I feel like you need to slide a Sword Dance on there, right? Now we're virtually walled by Steel, unless we want to go for like a or like rock, unless we want to go for a 2-turn sort of move there on rock type. So you really have to include, something like Leaf Blade on there. So that's a set that could work. Like, it's a little, obviously it's a lot more gimmicky, but you can make use of that acrobat, like that flying move a bit more there. And you're not using Brave Birds, you don't have to give up much of your health there. But I'm not saying the Brave Bird couldn't work on the Choice Band set. I feel like there's just other moves that are better for it, that you don't have to risk all that health, you know, and being locked into it and things like that. But yeah, that could definitely work as a Decidueye set there, as a physical one. Let's do a quick look here at its... I can't wait to... when the Hisuian one comes in the game, I'm going to do a separate guide for that. Same with all the Hisu ones. I had a couple of people asking that on yesterday's video on Arcanine. So I'll do that when they actually officially come out. So on the special side here, we don't really have much. I mean, there's a Hex strategy that could use. So say if you had like... Let me just quickly do something. Say we had Hex here. So Hex is double base power. If you had like I'm just going to put the most generic one here, or Toxapex or Glimora. Say if you had one of them, have the get the toxic or toxic debris or spikes on the field, whether you're using Glimora, Toxapex, whatever. That would be nice. You could have like Nasty Plot and like Hex. That would hit it like hitting really hard. You'd absolutely have to run Timid on that though, because you need to outspeed stuff. So you got a powerful moves there, and then you could run stuff like, you know, if you want a little bit of recovery, you can run Giga Drain, but like, I'd probably go for Energy Wall for like a pure sweeping set. And, you know, you've got these sort of options here. So that's going to be hitting really, really quite hard, you know? So that could be cool. And you could go ahead and give it like Terra. Like Terra wouldn't be... Terra Fire would be like a nice surprise, but it's not really gonna give you too much, you know? So I think like I just kind of like Terra Normal or Water. Like I feel they're quite good ones there. Like, you know, Fire type comes in, boom, Terra Water, you know, those sort of things. And if a Grass type then comes in, well, you can still hit them with a Hex, you know, that'd be kind of cool. As for the item, Heavy Duty Boot, I'd probably go with Heavy Duty Boots, because you have to sort of have a lead there, right, to set the Toxic Spikes up. Maybe they put Toxic Spikes on the field themselves, or a Stealth Rock, or, you know, Sticky Web, or something annoying like that. You absolutely don't need that speed boost at all. Like, you really need all the speed you can get. So, you know, Heavy Duty Boots will be, you know, kind of nice there. So, you know, lots of different options there for Decidueye. To sum things up, I think Decidueye isn't a bad Pokemon. It certainly isn't overpowered, but I think it could be not a bad, you know, mid to late game sweeper there, and a handy Choice Band Pokemon or Choice Scarf, whatever you're running. A surprise nasty plot set or spec set could absolutely work there too. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed today's guide on Decidueye. Next week I'll probably do a couple more guides there. I've done quite a few of them the last few days. All right, people. Peace out.